Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading All That We Never Were by Kellen. Fun fact, I was watching some videos, a couple of YouTube videos because I couldn't read without, nobody can read without lights on. So I was trying to look for the audiobook, but there was no audiobook in English. And then, I came across this video where the author is talking about the book and what the book holds in it, you know? Turns out, turns out the author speaks Spanish. So this book was originally written in Spanish and then it was translated into English. So that's why we have, this book. But I feel like it would help knowing this book was originally in Spanish, because I feel like if I see some quotes in here that aren't really funny like that, or that don't really make sense, they will make sense in Spanish, so that's a good thing to know, yeah. Anyways, we're specifically going to be focusing on Axel's chapter, which is chapter 9. So we're on page 34. So it says, her bedroom door was still closed. She had been in my house for 3 weeks, and every day when she got back from school, she would eat whatever I prepared for her in silence, without protest or objection, then shut herself up between those 4 walls. The few times I entered, she was listening to some music on her headphones or drawing with a fine point pen. Nothing interesting, just geometric figures, repetitions, pointless sketches. Probably the longest sentence she spoke to me was on the first night, when she told me tea had caffeine. After that, nothing. If there had been an extra toothbrush in my bathroom, and I hadn't started go to grocery shopping now and then, I would hardly have noticed her presence. Leah only came out to eat lunch and dinner and go to school. Naturally, my mother came by a few times with food, even though I naturally my mother came by a few times with food, even though I had dropped the coffee several times to tell her everything was fine, eat a free piece of cake, and spend some time with Justin, who was supposed to take over the business if my parents ever gave up their addiction to work. How are things? He asked me. I guess fine, or not. What the fuck do I know? It's a tough situation. Be patient. Don't do your usual thing. My usual thing? The dumb shit that crosses your mind. I laughed and downed my coffee in one sip. I had never been close to Justin. We weren't the type of brothers who got out together and hang out or get drunk. We didn't have anything in common, and probably if we weren't bound by blood, we would have been two strangers who and would never have spoke more than a few words to each other. When I was little, it often struck me that he was stuck in life. Wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Hold on. When I was little, it often struck me that he was stuck in the life we left behind in Melbourne, as if they jerked him away from there and dropped him in the middle of a place he didn't really understand. For me, it was the opposite. This stretch of coast was mine, almost made to measure for me. The freedom, being able to go around barefoot whenever I wanted, the relaxed life, the bohemian atmosphere, everything. I walked around Bayron Bay after saying goodbye to my brother and brought some organic fruit. Then I called Oliver on my way home. We talked the day before, but he had to hang up right away after just a few words because someone told him he had a meeting. "How's it going?" he asked me. "I've got some more questions." "I'm all ears," he replied. "Leah spends the whole day shut in her room. I told you, she needs her space." "Can I take that space away from her?" Question mark. There was silence on the other end of the line. "What are you trying to tell me, Axel?" You never asked her to stop locking herself away? Question mark. "No, that's not how it works. The psychologic, do I have to go along with that?" I asked. "Yes, it's a matter of time. She's had a hard time." I held back the impulse to contradict him and bit my tongue. Then he talked to me about his work out there, the organizational stuff he's been doing for those 3 weeks. If he was so lucky, maybe he'd be able to cut his stay in Sydney a few months short. I didn't want to let myself feel relieved before I knew for sure. Later on. It was Saturday. We spent the whole morning shut away, and it was starting to try my patience, even though Oliver would arrive on Monday and I would have my normality back for 7 days. It's not that I didn't understand her. Of course I understood her pain, but that didn't change things. Didn't change the present. According to the psychologist Oliver had taken her for numerous sessions with, she wasn't working her way through the phases of grief properly. In theory, she was stuck in the first, denial, but I didn't agree with all that. Maybe that's why I knocked on her door. Leah looked up and took off her headphones. "The waves are nice. Grab your board." She blinked confused. That was when I realized that every time I proposed something to her, it came across as a question. A question Leah felt justified in saying no to. But this wasn't a question. "I'm not in the mood, thanks though." "Don't give me that. Move your ass." She looked at me with alarm. I saw her chest rising and falling in time to her accelerated breathing, as if she hadn't seen the attack coming after all those days of calm. I believe of calmness. I hadn't planned it either, and I had promised my best friend I wouldn't do something like this, but I trusted my instincts. And I had an instinctive need to get her out of that room, a desire to drag her away from that place. Leah sat up stiffly tense. "I don't want to go, Axel. I'll wait for you outside." I lay in the hammock stretched between 2 beams on the porch. When I normally read at night or close my eyes while I listened to music, I waited 10 minutes, 15, 20, 25. After half an hour, she appeared, nose wrinkled with distaste, I believe. I don't know. Hair in a ponytail, face uncomprehending. "Why do you want me to go? Why do you want to stay?" "I don't know." she answered softly. Me neither, let's go. Leo followed me in silence, and we crossed the short distance separating us from the beach. The white sand received us warmly under the midday sun, and she took off her dress and stood there in her bikini. I don't know why, but I looked and stared at the surfboard before passing it to her. It's short, she complained. Like it should be. Makes it more agile.